Lesson 5 for January 25 to 31, From Pride to Humility, read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Friday, January 31. From the book Prophets and Kings, page 521, we read, "The once proud monarch had become a humble child of God, the tyrannical, overbearing ruler, a wise and compassionate king. He who had defied and blasphemed the God of heaven now acknowledged the power of the Most High and earnestly sought to promote the fear of Jehovah and the happiness of his subjects. Under the rebuke of him who is King of kings and Lord of lords, Nebuchadnezzar had learned at last the lesson which all rulers need to learn, that true greatness consists in true goodness. He acknowledged Jehovah as the living God, saying, 'I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honour the King of heaven. All his works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase.' God's purpose that the greatest kingdom in the world should show forth his praise was now fulfilled. This public proclamation, in which Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged the mercy and goodness and authority of God, was the last act of his life recorded in sacred history. And that brings us to our two discussion questions for this week. 1. C.S. Lewis writes in Mere Christianity, published in 1996, page 110, "Pride leads to every other vice. It is the complete anti-God state of mind. Does this seem to you exaggerated? If so, think it over. The more pride one has, the more one dislikes pride in others. In fact, if you want to find out how proud you are, the easiest way is to ask yourself, how much do I dislike when other people snub me or refuse to take any notice of me or shove their oar in or patronize me or show off? The point is that each person's pride is in competition with everyone else's pride. It is because I wanted to be the big noise at the party that I am so annoyed at someone else being the big noise. Two of a trade never agree." End of quote. What is Lewis saying here that could perhaps help you see pride in your own life? 2. A theme seen in this chapter, as well as in some preceding it, is the sovereignty of God. Why is this such an important topic to understand? What role does the Sabbath play in helping us understand this crucial truth? Inside Story. Our mission story this week is titled Finding Christ in the Caucasus by Andrew McChesney of Adventist Mission. 17-year-old Stepan Avakov volunteered to help interpret when a group of Americans organized a quiet hour health expo in the southern Russian city of Volgodonsk. When the expo ended, organizer Vincent Page invited Avakov to follow the expo to the North Caucasus region. It was summer and Avakov was free. He asked his mother for advice. "Why don't you go?" she said. "You can practice your English." Local pastor Veniamin Tarasuk also gave his blessing, but added, "Remember, if you want to be baptized, come back and I will baptize you." Avakov was stunned. "Are you crazy?" he thought. "I'm not going to be baptized." But for the next 2 months he lived a Seventh-day Adventist life as he visited various towns. The Adventist organizers woke up early, read their Bibles, prayed, and then had morning devotions together. To Avakov it was a new world. One day Page invited Avakov to go to Lithuania next. Avakov, however, had left his passport at home. Page gave him a $100 bill. "Go home, get your passport, and come back here in 1 day," he said. The next morning the teen jumped out of the hotel bed promptly at 5 a.m., earlier than ever before. He didn't know how to find a way out of town. As he left the hotel, he prayed, "God, if you exist, lead me to the bus station." Avakov began walking and, to his surprise, found the bus station. A bus was waiting with open doors. Inside, passengers were complaining, "Driver, why are we waiting? Let's go." As Avakov sat down, the doors closed and the bus left. Similar miracles occurred throughout the day. When Avakov returned to the hotel with his passport that night, he knelt beside his bed. "God, now I know that you exist," he said. "You have shown that you love me and are drawing me to you. From this moment, you are my Lord, and I want you to live in me." In the morning, Avakov showed his passport to Page. "Here is my passport," he said. "But something more important happened. Last night I became a Christian." Page and the other workers spontaneously clapped with joy. Avakov was baptized by Pastor Tarasuk 3 weeks later on September 10, 1993. 6 years later, Pastor Tarasuk became Avakov's father-in-law. Avakov, now 42, works as a professional interpreter for the United Nations and other agencies. He also is the founder and director of an organization that helps Russian orphans. His conversion story, he said, can be found in Romans 5, verse 1, which reads, "Therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ." "This verse interprets my conversion story," said Avakov, whose picture appears here on the left. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind and Hearing Impaired, Christian Record Services for the Blind, the Sabbath School Department, and Hope Channel. You can also listen on the official Sabbath School 4 app and the Apple iTunes app, Sabbath School with Percy Harrold. Remember, God is always faithful.